the regular meeting.
Yeah, they were getting, let's just give us a minute or two.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Meriwether County Board of Commissioner meeting for May the 28th, 2019 at 6 p.m. At this time, we'd like to have our invocation by Commissioner Gray.
If you would, please bow with me. Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee, thanking You for giving us this opportunity to assemble here once more and again, we pray that as we go into this meeting, that You will lead us with Your knowledge, wisdom, love, and understanding, that we may be able to make wise decisions for Meriwether County. These things and all things we ask of You, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone. At this time, we'd like to get a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next item is the minutes from the May 8th, 2019 meeting that was at 9 a.m. Hopefully all of those had a chance to read it. At this time, I'd like to have a motion that we adopt the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, it carries. The next item on the agenda is municipal comments. And do we have anyone from Mayor Glover?
Thank y'all have it.
It's too hot to go. Concur with that. I don't want to overlook anyone else. Yeah, okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is our constitutional officers. I don't see anyone. Thank you. So moving on is our department heads. I know we have to have some department heads here. So I'll make some time. All right, Bill from Public Works. Okay. Anybody from the fire department? I'm sorry?
We have no reports.
Nothing at this time? Okay, thank you. Ms. Jane? Okay, we're on the road here. Miss Kathy, well, we're going to have Kathy, but I see, sorry, Carolyn.
Yeah, thank you. These are all quick announcements, but just important things I want to share with you all. First, a reminder about the business after hours at the Full Circle Farm Sanctuary a week from this Thursday. This is it's located on White House Parkway. There's been lots of expressions of curiosity from the public, like what do they really do up there? So this is your opportunity to come and see and have some vegan food and hear why that's important to you. Okay. So that's good. I hope y'all will have an opportunity to be there. Also, that same evening, there's an event at the President Theater, the D-Day commemorative event. It starts at 7, so you actually have time to come up to White House Parkway, if you're there, and then scoot over to the President Theater should you choose to do so. I also want to let you know, and some of you may already know this, but the Chamber's been working with the school system and Family Connection Partnership on this Get Meriwether Reading Program. I know y'all have heard about that. But we put in a grant to the Governor's Office of Student Achievement for an innovation grant, Innovation Fund Foundation, and we were awarded that grant, so that's $74,800. For our Get Meriwether Reading Program, which we are in the middle of. And speaking of that, we are, as of next week, we'll be doing the Summer Read and Feed program. So if you have not signed up to be a reading volunteer at one of the 20 or more sites throughout the county and you wish to do so, we're still looking for and enthusiastically receiving any volunteer that wants to sign up. It's a great way to get involved in the community and show your support for our education. Warm Springs is having its Freedom Celebration, and that is on June 29, including a parade and a patriotic costume contest. So that's the first one of those we've tried, and hopefully it's going to be fun. There'll be a lot of activities for the kids, and I hope you'll come out and enjoy that. Also, before that event, we have the Mayor of the Miles coming up on June the 8th at Lake Meriwether. This is our 3rd annual bicycle ride, which will be starting early this morning. We also have our 5th annual Peaches and Pines Festival. We have some great entertainment lined up, including Keith Brady's band, Aces and Eights, and he's not here, but I've heard they're pretty good. So I'm sure he would say yes, absolutely. So I hope y'all will come out and join us. There's lots of great things for the kids. We got carnival rides. We have, because the Corpus Farms is doing their spring kickoff rodeo on that Friday night and Saturday night, then they're going to bring some of the professional cowboys over there, and they're going to do a rope demonstration. We also have what is known as a hula hoop demonstration interaction. So this is a young lady that does all kind of fancy things with a hula hoop. So anyway, so we have the cowboys coming, the clowns coming, and they'll be doing that professional rodeo roping demonstration at Lake Meriwether. So I'm just going to leave all these up here. But there's some really good things going on, lots of stuff going on in the community over the next couple of weeks and months, and I hope y'all will participate to the extent that you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn, I do remember you just sent something out about the Flint River Keepers for the volunteering for those who may want to be
water tester.
Who want to be a water tester. So that isn't. Well, what I would like to suggest to the board is that some of this information she's just presented, if it's not on the county website, let's make sure we can get it on the county website. And for those who are here today, please take it with you, and you'll have this information. It doesn't need to sit here and spread the word. So, thank you so much. Okay. So at this time, Ms. Kathy, do you have anything before we go into public hearing, or do you want
I do not have any reports, but I just happen to have one I'd like to introduce to the board. She told me not to call around, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have an administrative assistant. I do not know if y'all had a chance to meet her or not. Miss Jacqueline Lewis. She's from Upson County, and she has been phenomenal in the office. We're getting organized. She's got me doing all kinds of wonderful things that people think I'm doing. That's the lady that's done it right there. So I would like for y'all to meet Miss Jacqueline, and if you get a chance to come by, come see what she's done in the office. It's really nice.
Hey, if she's willing to give some other time to help people organize stuff, I'd really like it.
But I am so proud of her, and the work she's doing is phenomenal, so I want to give her full credit for what she's doing to help us out.
Thank you very much.
I just noticed that Judge Brown just walked in, so we don't want to put her in the spot, but she is part of a department. Do you have anything you want to share?
I don't have anything to share.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman, I do have one other thing that I needed to ask the board to consider adding, and that is an item on the extension of the new road moratorium, acceptance of new roads in the county road system. I was hoping to have that done by June, but we just, with the rains and everything else that's come up, we haven't had a chance to complete that, so I'd like to ask that we extend that till August 31st.
So under old business?
That'd be under old business, right?
Old business or unfinished business? So this is a moratorium on,
Acceptance of new roads into the county road system. We're in the process of working some new road standards, and we don't want to have any roads come in there subpar. We need to rework all the requirements of paving before we accept any more new roads.
so that means we need to make a motion to make an adjustment to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sorry, I meant to get that on.
Can I get a motion that we make an adjustment to the agenda regarding accepting roads, moratorium or not accepting roads until they meet the standard?
So to August 1st.
To August 1st.
Second.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. Can call for a vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, so our next item is public hearing. So we need to go into public hearing.
So moved.
All right, so we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we're going into public hearing, and our first case is case number 5. Darren, you want to cover that, or Kathy?
We will cover it.
All right. Okay.
This is my first rodeo, so please bear with me.
She can do it, no problem.
Excuse me for a picture. I've watched the videos, so I think I know how it goes, but if I am out of line, please correct me. I apologize ahead of time. Our first case tonight is case number 5, and the Kennedys are here. We have Mr. Ellie and Miss Marjorie Kennedy. They own a 4.48-acre piece of property located just off of Crimson Road up in the Luthersville area. Their request, and we do have them up. See, I told you she's good. We got pictures for y'all to see. They would like to split a 2-acre piece off of the north side there, which currently has a mobile home on it. They would like to have that rezoned from an LDR, which is a 5-acre minimum, to 2-acre minimum. And that way, they can sell the mobile home in the 2 acres to a tenant who is currently in the home. I have got the application there. I have not had any kind of information to come back to me from any of the department heads saying they don't think it's good or a bad idea on that. I have gone through and made sure that they understand that it is a joint driveway agreement between Mr. Kennedy and his neighbor on the south side there. They actually own the drive that comes off of Crimson Road to their properties. So I've explained to the Kennedys that in order for this, if it is approved, that they do have to have a deeded easement going to that property so that if in the future the new owner of that 2 acres of mobile home wishes to sell, they have to have that deeded easement. So the new owner certainly has access to their property.
And the other property, Kathy, remaining parcel cannot be split.
It cannot be split again because it's going to be just a little over 2 acres, and that's the smallest we have in the county. It does not have a home on it at this time. The only one that's got any type of a home is the 2 acres that they wish to sell to the current tenant on that piece of property. Based on the information that I have received from them and looking at the other properties in the area, it's not uncommon to have a 2-acre piece of property. As you can see in the tax map there, you have several on both the east and the west side of it. So it is my recommendation from the from my office at Building and Zoning as well as the Planning Commission to approve the rezoning request.
We're going to do each one of these individually.
We may want to ask if...
Is there anyone who would like to speak? Is anyone here representing that case would like to speak on it?
The Kennedys are here.
These are the owners right here.
Alright, so this is also showing in District 3.
And I have no one to sign in.
Yeah, no one to sign it.
Probably still asking anybody in opposition.
Is there anyone in opposition for this rezoning that would like to speak at this time? So, Beverly, do I need to go out?
Let's go.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to get a motion that we go out of public hearing for case number 5. Is there a second? Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Can we get a vote? Is anyone opposed? If not, the vote carries. So at this time, we're out of public hearing for case number 5. And I understand this is in District number 3.
Yes, it is. Madam Chair, I'm familiar with this area, and I see no reason why we shouldn't rezone this request.
So can we get this in a motion?
That is a motion.
All right.
That
and
will be with the condition of the perpetual
With the
deed.
driveway, the easement for the drive, which you're gonna take care of that anyway, so, yes, I'm all for it.
All right.
Motion so made.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second that we approve the rezoning of case number 5 with the exception of the road easement. So can we get a vote on that? All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. The next, we're going to now go into public hearing for case number 6. Can I get a motion that we go into public hearing for case number 6? And is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Can I get a vote? All those in favor? Votes carried. Next case, case number 6.
Case number 6 is the L.H. Arnold Estate. We have representing the estate Mark Portel, who is the executor of the estate. He currently owns a 71.51 acre piece of property which has 2 homes on it. He has asked for a rezoning on a 10 acre piece with one of the home sites, which is highlighted in the solid yellow there, which would leave a approximate 61.51 acre piece of property with the other home. The zoning request, I do feel, will not adversely affect any of the surrounding properties. You have also in this area a mix. You have some large property owners, but you also have some very small sites as well. So it's not uncommon to have a 10 acre piece of property with a home on it. So it's not going to affect property values, and I do not feel like it would be a detriment to anybody around in the area. It did receive a recommendation for approval from our Planning and Zoning Commission back on the last month, and it is my recommendation to ask for you to approve that rezoning request for Mr. Portel.
How do they access this property, Ms. Kathy?
This road right here, that
Okay,
is,
it's right against the road there, okay.
Mitchell Cove is what it's all about. What's that road, is it Brown?
Yeah, it's built at Brown, Tom Brown.
Tom Brown Road.
So that goes straight across? Okay.
Mitchell Cove comes up this way, and it makes
And
a
then-
hard left, and then this is Tom Brown Road. All of this is road frontage.
Okay. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak on this case? Is there anyone that opposed would like to speak on this case? All right. So I understand this is in District 4. Commissioner Gregory, do you have anything you want to say?
I don't, probably need to come out.
All right, at this time, I'd like to come out of the public hearing. Can I get a motion that we come out?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we come out of public hearing. Can I get a vote? All those in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? If not, the motion carries. Thank you. So we're now out of the public hearing.
I have no one to speak.
And you had no one to speak on that? Okay, that's fine. So at this time, based on the recommendation, I did. At this time, we'd like to get a motion for the recommendation from the planning and zoning, from the zoning as to accept this.
And Madam Chair, based on that recommendation from Kathy's office as well as the board, I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we go ahead and approve this. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Okay, and is anyone that opposed? The votes carried. Thank you. So it's been awarded. All right, at this time, our next item is case number 7, so we need to go back into public hearing for case number 7. Can I get a motion that we go back in public hearing?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. We go back into public hearing. Can I get a vote? All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, case number 7, Ms. Kathy.
Madam Chairman, I would like to ask, I had gentlemen both asked me if they need to sign up that are here for the actual owners of these properties or agents. Do they need to sign on that? I
They
told
want
them
to
no,
speak.
but they're on the agenda.
If they want to speak. If they want to speak, yes.
Would you like to come sign? I gave y'all the correct information. Do you want to speak at all during the presentation? Well, we want to be sure that you're able to do so. She has the vote here.
is that for both of those cases?
Yeah,
Just one.
this is
You need
one.
the other one too,
May I
Beverly.
get the other one for you to
Let's sign up for the other one.
Like I said, this is my first rodeo, so
You're doing
thank
good.
you for your patience.
You're doing fine.
Thank you.
It's moving right along.
Now that I got my ducks in a row, Case number 7, property owner is Charles Mike Jones, and his agent is TowerCom, and we have here representing TowerCom, Mr. Steve Watkins. They're requesting, requesting a special use permit for the installation of a cell phone tower. The property is located at 13949 Highway 85 in Woodbury. Current zoning on the 24.5 acres belonging to Mr. Jones is A1, which is agricultural, 25-acre minimum, and it does allow cell phone towers with the approval of a special use permit. The proposed tower site is a 100 by 100 area, and it will be accessed by an easement off of MLAC Road under a lease agreement, and it's projected to greatly improve the wireless coverage for the area between Gay and Woodland, Georgia. The subject property is currently under a conservation use covenant, and under state code, leasing a portion of property for a cell phone tower will not constitute a breach. However, that portion of the parcel shall cease to be subject to the covenant and will be taxed at fair market value. The proposed special use is for an activity protected by the Federal Telecommunications Act of 1996. Meriwether County zoning ordinance incorporates buffers and setbacks to support the neighborhood while allowing a federally protected tower to be put on that property. Staff comments from Public Works, Meriwether County Fire Department, and 911 were considered in the following recommendation. Based on the staff's review and analysis of information as presented, supplemental information as we requested, a site visit, and review of surrounding areas, the applicant will comply with the Meriwether County zoning ordinance, Article 9, which is the communication tower regulations. Our staff recommends the grant of a special use permit to the applicant upon the applicant's compliance with the following conditions. These are lengthy, but we always want to include these as a condition to the granting of a special use permit. Number 1, the applicant will reserve a 10-foot vertical space at a distance of 135 up to 150 feet on the tower for installation of Meriwether County communication equipment at no cost to the county public safety and emergency responders. The second is an easement access drive off of MLAC Road shall be constructed with the Meriwether County Public Works approved pipe size and driveway dimensions. Number 3, emergency 24-hour, 365-day-a-year contact information shall be provided to Meriwether County Sheriff's Office, Meriwether County Fire Department, and E911. The tower site fall zone shall be no less than 200 feet from all property lines. Easement access shall have a secure gate to prevent unauthorized traffic. The buffer required of not less than a 20-foot base width consisting of approved plantings plus a fence. That's going to mean that they've got to have the fencing on it as well as the landscaping on the inside of the 20-foot centers. And we do ask that they stagger them some so you get good coverage as they start growing. Chain link fencing shall be installed around the entire perimeter of the leased area covered under the special use permit. The fence shall be a minimum of 6 feet in height and have an additional 3 rows of barbed wire at the top. The fence shall have green or black slats or vinyl covering approved by Meriwether County Building and Zoning Department. If the facility is damaged in any material manner, repairs must be promptly made upon notice to the tower's owner. If the facility is inoperable for a period of 12 consecutive months, the facility shall be removed at the applicant owner's expense and property restored to its pre-development condition down to a 36-inch grade. Applicant shall provide Meriwether County Building and Zoning with a plan for removal and restoration of the property at the end of the life of the facility. All grass, brush, and other vegetative growth shall be maintained at all times for the life of the operation. A special use permit shall allow use of property for 1 telecommunication tower, and that tower height shall not exceed a permitted height of 199 feet. Any required or planned lighting shall be established so that the adjacent properties and roadways are not adversely affected, and to preclude glare onto or direct illumination of adjacent properties and streets. A final inspection by a structural engineer licensed in the state of Georgia shall be submitted to the Building and Zoning Director prior to the Building Department's final inspection of the completed facility. The applicant shall submit a pre-development site plan indicating buffer, grading, and erosion and soil control for the site. And that is on the board. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm going to turn it, but There's a few pieces of information up here so you can kind of see what they've already sent to us to know that they're aware of what our requests are and recommendations on putting it there, and their willingness to comply with all of those. And you should have some of those in your packets to see it a little easier. The applicant must meet all local, state, and federal regulations governing the telecommunication tower. The FAA verification letter on determination of no hazard to air navigation will be presented to Building and Zoning Director prior to the final inspection of the completed facility. That FAA letter will tell us if the height of that tower is anywhere within an area that could be a hazard to air traffic, or whether it has to be brought down to another height, what have you. The FAA does have hazards and obstructions. The hazard actually be something that would impede the safety of aircraft landing and taking off. An obstruction would be something they just have to fly around, but it's not an imminent hazard or danger. In our planning and zoning meeting last month, we did get a favorable recommendation for approval on this, and I do have all the information. The applicant has agreed to all the conditions that we have set forth in this, and it is our recommendation from the Building and Zoning to approve this request.
Madam Chairman, Commissioner, one other thing that Kathy and I talked about was provisions where if someone comes in and gets a cell tower rezoned for special use, that they really need to start that construction within a period of time, or they lose that special use. And just looking back at our ordinance, I think our ordinance covers that already, because under section 11, it says any tower approved under this provision, which is not utilized by any communication service provider for a period of 12 consecutive months shall lose its privilege.
Okay.
So I think that answers the question, the other question you had too.
So construction would have to start within 12 months of the issuance of that permit.
That's right.
Anyone else? Mr. Gateway? Is there any, who are the representatives they would like to comment at this time? Let's see. Ms. Brenda Evans?
You want to ask the applicant to come?
Right, she gave me, these are the ones. Okay, the applicants, if any of you like to make comments or come up, you can speak to the board.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Steve Watkins. I'm representing TowerCom. I'm also here with the property owner, Mike Jones, in case, I think Kathy covered pretty much everything, and Mr. Gay has provided y'all, between the two of them, has provided y'all with about as much information as I could ever impart. But I'll be glad to answer any questions, address any concerns that the board might have.
This is in what district, correct? Does anyone have any questions?
I really don't, Madam Chair. I understand where the location is, and I've heard the particulars on the height. And I believe it's a 195-foot tower with a 4-foot lightning rod, so I read your presentation.
And this is a monopole tower, so we're
That's right, no guiders.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No guide wires.
No guide wires.
No guide wires.
It's a monopole.
It'll be completely self-contained within the fenced area. I think the fenced area itself is 60 by 60 with a 20-foot buffer around.
And does Ms. Jones want to say anything, or we're good on that? Okay. So, are you Ms. Jones?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that'll be next. So, is this the ones that she has?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see if there's anyone
Is there-
that wants to speak in favor, and then we'll go to the opposition.
If there's anyone that would like to speak in favor of the tower other than the applicant, you can come up at this time, and if you've not signed, then I need you to sign the form. Okay, if not, then if there's anyone who's against it, and I think we have Ms. Brenda Evans on the list, okay, and if there's anyone else that'd like to speak in opposition, I do need you to sign with your name and your email address on this. So Ms. Evans, you can come up and approach the board, thank you. And, I'm sorry, and you have 3 minutes, and Mr. Bill will be monitoring that.
Okay, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you and express my concerns about the cell tower that's going to be on MLAC Road. I'm going to go through very quickly because I only have 3 minutes. Different sites or entities that have come forward and said that cell phone towers put off a lot of radio frequency radiation. This is very harmful, especially to children. Their skulls are thinner. It's also harmful to pregnant women who have underdeveloped babies. The Environmental Science and Policy Radiation and Health Risk says that cell phone towers emit mass amounts of harmful radio frequency radiation, and they're also known as microwave. Excessive exposure to these can increase the risk of cancer, male infertility, neurobehavioral abnormalities, and neurodegenerative diseases. Cell phone towers cannot be turned off like your cell phone. The most wireless companies like AT&T, Nokia, T-Mobile, and Verizon have already issued warnings to their shareholders telling them the negative effects of cancer and that their potential danger and their claims that will not be adversely affected their profits and loss. In March of this year, 4 students within 3 years at an elementary school in California were diagnosed with cancer. Their doctor told them, a parent, and this is a quote, "It's 100% environmental, the kind of tumor he has," quote close. In April 2019 of this year, that cell phone tower was removed. The World Health Organization and the International Agency for Research on Cancer have reported that cell phone tower radiations are carcinogenic, which means they are cancer-causing. The American Academy of Pediatrics show an association of cell phone towers with headaches, memory problems, dizziness, depression, and sleep disorders. The Cambridge Neurophysiological Society has studied, it was a 2-year study, and they said that cell phone towers produce a significant decline in the cognitive scores, the delayed fine and motor growth skills, the spatial working memory in school-aged children. Harvard Medical School, Dr. Martha Herbert said that it is the radio frequency radiation degrades the physiological integrity of the system at the cellular and the molecular levels, causing chronic illnesses including cancer, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. There was also a national toxicology program that was a $25 million study that says that the radiation long-term exposure associated with brain cancer and schwannomas of the heart. There was a 2004 study that says cancer rates tripled within 5 years of a cell phone tower. The U.S. National Library of Medicine, the National Institute of Health says that long-term exposure to radio frequency radiation provides or promotes cancer growth. The EPA says that radio frequency radiation is dangerous. It can heat up the body's tissues rapidly. The American Cancer Society has said that radio frequency radiation waves may produce other effects. Dr. Robin Bernhoff, who is the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, told Fox News that living near a cell phone tower might eventually melt your brain, give you cancer or worse, and neuter your reproductive organs. And people who live near cell phone towers and antennas are in jeopardy. No child deserves to get sick just from where they go to school. There are 2 schools located within just a few miles of this proposed cell phone tower. Is the board willing to risk the harm and the exposure that those children will be put through? I request and really honest and truly beg the Board of Commissioners to reconsider rejecting this proposal. Also, the National Association of Realtors has said that when there's a cell phone tower in the area, there's a 20% reduction in the value of property.
Okay, Ms. Evans, thank you so much for sharing that.
I'm going to give you guys some information.
That'll be
This is
fine.
all for Harvard and for Columbia, and it's all done by doctors so that you can look at it.
Chair, Commissioners, I can't speak to that from a medical standpoint. I do know that the Federal Telecommunication Act addresses that, and it also establishes standards that the county can and cannot deny cell towers on. And one of our requirements is that the tower meet or exceed current standards and regulations from the Federal Aviation Administration, the Federal Communication Commissions, or other governing agencies' guidelines that may be established by such agencies. So that issue, I'm not going to debate whether, the physicians, whatever, but I think that's sort of out of the county's control in terms of the Federal Communication Act.
The law itself says specifically, you can't turn it down for health reasons. So blame Congress if you're upset with that, because that's what it says.
May I comment, the FCC regulations have not been upgraded since 1996. That's 23 years that our technology has advanced. And I'm just concerned that there are too many children, there's too many schools in the area that are going to be exposed to too much radio frequency radiation.
I'm just telling you what the law says.
We just have to be aware of what the law says. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposing of this that has not signed up on the list? Is there anyone else who signed up? Mr. Bart, is it Goss?
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome to come up and speak as well.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm a new resident of Meriwether County. I recently bought a property on 3880 Imlek Road back in September of last year. And I'll be honest with you, if a cell phone tower would have been there, I probably wouldn't have bought that property. I didn't move out to Meriwether County to be inundated with cell phone radio frequency, loss of my a lower property value and things of that nature. While I would love to see my property taxes go down because the property value go down, but I don't plan on selling my property anytime soon. But I do have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. We are expecting another child. I understand we can't do anything about the laws regarding health care or regarding health, based on the FCC laws and things like that. But I think if there's another law or another way we can get around having a cell phone tower, I really would appreciate it. My family would appreciate it because I may not be a resident of Meriwether County much longer. I may decide to move to another area where I don't have to be inundated with that because of the law. We always have good intentions. I just buried my father on May 29th of April. The government had good intentions to spray my father with Agent Orange in Vietnam to help win the war. But now we're finding out all that stuff, 20, 30, 40 years later, that these soldiers were exposed to. Same thing with this. We always have good intentions. I understand the county wants to make more money. I understand people want better cell phone service. I honestly checked the cell phone service. I knew it was horrible when I moved there. I'm happy with it being horrible. I could use another form of communications. And I worked for Cisco Systems, the largest manufacturer of communications equipment in the world. And I realized that, not getting into this, but we have guidelines as well. We can't put a Wi-Fi bridge within 90 feet of where someone's going to sit for more than 30 minutes a day. So there's a lot of things that I understand we can't do because of the laws, but I think the residents, and the community should be able to not have to just totally go out and research on your own what we could do to not have this cell phone tower. And if you're opposed to that for that reason, then, that may be something we should be enlightened with. But I don't want to see my property value go down for sure, although I'm not planning on selling my property. But, if we do have a cell phone tower, I may choose another, location to live in. So I appreciate you understanding and thank you for the time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that have opposition? We want to make sure we give everyone an opportunity to speak. This is your time to share your views, no matter which way it is. Darren, I see you need to.
Yes, ma'am. You may want to give the applicant just 5 minutes worth of rebuttal time in case you think that he wants to make a comment.
Okay, that's fine. And we can ask questions too.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So at this time, just for the protocol, we can have the applicant come back up if you want to address the board with any other comments or concerns that you would like to. At this time, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. And fellow commissioners, I was a little caught off guard with the information that I learned today, there was opposition due to radio frequency concerns. So I went to the American Cancer Society's website, which is www.cancer.org, and just printed off their most recent update of evaluations and surveys and reports. This is from and all of this is on the American Cancer Society's website. From the Federal Communications Commission, radio frequency emissions from antennas used for cellular and PCS, personal communications service transmissions, result in exposure levels on the ground that are typically thousands of times below safety limits, which mean, and we do put these on schools, on hospitals, on apartment buildings, when you drive through downtown Atlanta because of the tightness of the buildings. To get the requisite in-building coverage, we put them on the sides of buildings, on the tops of buildings, wherever we can, because cell towers just can't be built in the downtown area. The radio frequency radiation actually dissipates tremendously after about 5 feet directly in front of the antennas. So if you're not standing directly in front of the antennas, which they all carry warnings, don't stand in front of an antenna while it's transmitting, there's really no danger to the DNA. As a matter of fact, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, this is also on the American Cancer Society website, the IARC also noted that exposure to the brain from radiofrequency fields from cell phone base stations or towers mounted on roofs or on towers is less than 1/100th of the exposure to the brain from mobile devices such as cell phones. So it's tremendously less to have antennas 200 feet in the air than to have a cell phone up against your head or in the car with you. Basically, the ambient radiation from radio broadcasting towers, from radio broadcast towers, from microwave ovens, from your television set, from your computer, from your cell phone, present much more of a risk to deterioration than a cell tower. As far as property values, we've done a number of studies through the years of property values that are generally enhanced by the presence of infrastructure, including telecommunications, and the requisite that Ms. Johnson pointed out, that TowerCom will reserve 15 feet of space from 135 to 150 feet for emergency personnel and E911 first responders. Also goes to the county's safety and security. I'll be glad to answer any additional questions, and I can leave this with you if you'd like. But all of this is information that can be gotten off of the FCC website, the World Health Organization, or the American Cancer Society websites.
Is there any other questions or comments from anyone here on the board?
I have a question. I don't think we have anyone here from the tax assessor's office, although Kathy's previously there. We have approved several cell towers over the last few years. Has there been any decline in anybody's property value around it? I didn't
As
think
a
that.
matter of fact, the area in which this site is leasing will actually go up in value because it will then be constituted as a commercial area. 100 by 100 is not very big, but that would be a commercial use, and the valuation on that will go up compared to what it is now.
And just the response about it, being profitable for the county. Yes, there may be a little more tax money there if it was a conservation and then it goes back to the regular tax digest, but it's minimal. I mean, it's more about the convenience for the people who live here as far as a cell tower. It's not a revenue source for the county. A tower isn't.
With all due respect, a question might be asked, is there anyone in the room that might like to build a house by a cell tower?
The property owner is in attendance tonight, and he had a number of folks approach him that were amenable to speaking on behalf of the cell tower. None of them signed up, but if you'd like to recognize them,
That'll be fine. But if anyone likes to speak, they definitely need to sign up. So we're giving those the opportunity, whether they're for it or against it, to share their viewpoint. So the gentleman right here, I'm sorry, if you want to speak, you're more than welcome to come up and speak. We just need to get your name.
I interrupted and said what I wanted to say.
What's your name, sir, for the record?
Wayne Evans.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Evans.
The 20% devaluing of property is not my number I picked out of my head. It comes from the National Association of Realtors, is where it comes
And
from.
that may be the case in some places, but so far in Meriwether County, that has not caused any of our property to lose value. Because we've approved several over the last, 5 or 6 years, I know.
And people want self-service.
Well, just the
other
way
services.
technology is moving, if they don't have cell service or have that, I mean, they can't, a lot of them can't conduct business or just
And
carry on.
a lot of people are
It
not.
appears that there's enough information now to say about cancer that, none of us want cancer. None of us want our children to have cancer. But to me, if we approve this power, we're certainly that night. We're saying, okay, it's okay
Mr. Evans.
having cancer.
Once again, if you want to speak, you can put your name down and come up and speak, but you just can't speak out of order, okay? Because this is why we have the procedures, so everybody will have that opportunity. I mean, you're sharing, but you just need to officially. Yes, sir.
What I said, I will.
Thank you. All right.
And again, the applicant probably needs to get the
The last statement. And the protocol is the applicant gets the last statement, so it's not that we want to hear from everybody. So at this time, if you would like to make any more closing statements, you can. And then at this time, I know we've got some outside conversations. Please be respectful of our process, if you don't mind. All right, 1 second. And, we give 3 minutes, and we've kind of allowed people to have a little bit more than 3 minutes, because we do want to be able to have everybody the opportunity to speak. But the process is the applicant gets the last comments. So I think before he comes up, is it Goss? Do you want to make one more statement? And then I'll have Mr. Watkins make his final statement.
I just have a quick question.
Address the board.
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
I don't understand why we need another cell phone tower when we have several cell phone towers in the area. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know the road, but there's a huge cell phone tower by Smitty's. There's one over by Ingles. But there's one right here in the one I connect to get my internet service 8 miles away in Greenville. So I understand why we need another cell phone tower when we have, so many in the area already, that could be used for the same purpose. Another antenna could be put on it. And the other thing I'd like to ask is, once this is approved, if it's approved, can the company put any antenna, any frequency, as long as it's under the FCC guidelines, can they put whatever they want on that tower, or do they have to come back and get another special use permit?
They can put anything, the tower's gonna have a certain load capacity, so that's one of the reasons you can't keep adding towers. The applicant is here, but my thought would be that they've studied this pretty well, and there's a real need. I doubt they'd be making the investment if there wasn't a need for an additional cell tower, if they could just simply go and co-locate. But
All right.
the applicants.
So moving on, I'm sorry, Ms. Goss.
According to the FCC regulation, once that tower is put up, they have the right to increase it by 20%.
You're out of
All
order.
within the
You're out of
FCC
order.
guidelines.
Okay, we're all in that, so we're gonna let Mr. Watkins come back up, make his final comments before we go out of public hearing, and then we could discuss which way the board wants to go.
Thank you
If you
very
want to have anything else at this time additional that you've not already stated to us, if you like.
Is it appropriate that I have everyone who's in support of the cell tower to stand just briefly?
No.
It is not,
Can't do
okay.
that. No. They would have had to come and sign up and speak when the opportunity presented itself.
Understood, okay. But Mr. Gay was exactly right. If we could get away from building a new tower between the existing towers in Meriwether County, we certainly would have done so and co-located on those.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. At this time, I'd like to get a motion that we come out of public hearing.
So moved.
And is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second to come out of public hearing. Can I get a vote?
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, open for discussion.
yeah, I've just been holding for this. I understand that there's a law says we can't deny it for medical possibility. But something Ms. Evans brought up is still sticking in the back of my mind is the fact that I don't know what the validity to the removal of the cell tower was, if it was actually based on true medical diagnoses of cancer, and that's where they felt it came from. That's sticking in the back of my mind that if we can't deny it based on possible medical questions, what allows someone to have it removed based on a medical diagnosis?
I don't follow you. Allow you.
If we can't deny a cell tower to be put up because we think it may cause medical issues, if there is true validity to what she stated about a cell tower being taken down because they felt 100% that it caused medical issues or cancer, and there were certain diagnoses from it, so the law allowed them to remove it. There's got to be something in there.
I just know because I've spent a lot of time trying to keep cell towers out of Calhoun County.
Yeah.
And they make it very, 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 very hard for you to do so. And that is one of the specific things, is it even says in there, because they foresaw something like this happening, you can't turn it down for medical reasons.
Yeah.
And so Congress is going to have to change that law before you can do it
But, I do want,
without being challenged.
is that in that paperwork that you gave us?
It's an article in Newsweek magazine on March the 13th of 2019 of this year. The cell phone tower was removed.
All I need to know is that part. And I will go and read it myself because that is a concern of mine. If we can't deny based on medical, was there true validity to it being removed because of medical? So I'll read it and I'll go from there, but
So y'all going to continue the public hearing until you've had the answer?
I don't know. You still can't deny it, right?
Well, I'm not telling you what you can and can't do, I'm just telling you what the law says.
I would like to make a motion to postpone until another time. So
But you got to do it, you have to do it to a date specific if you want to leave the public hearing.
So what's the next one?
So you're saying you want
What's
to
our
be...
next meeting?
June 12th.
So you can continue the public hearing till then, or you can close the public.
That's right. Well, you can close it.
And then you can investigate it.
Vote at the next meeting.
Yeah, you can do that.
So you can close the public hearing for this.
You can close the public hearing. The board can still ask questions, right?
Well, we're in discussion right now.
We're in discussion right now.
I'm talking about when, if you close the public hearing, the board can still ask questions just amongst themselves.
Amongst themselves, yeah, absolutely.
I'll put a motion out there and then y'all can continue that, but I would like to close this for further reading and research and then have it to be at our next meeting, to continue with it at the next meeting.
So is that a amount?
I mean, y'all do it
We're already
differently than everybody else.
We gotta come out of public hearing.
You want to,
I thought we did.
I thought you did.
We did.
Well, we didn't take the vote.
We didn't take the vote because he was,
Discussion.
right,
Oh, okay.
just discussion.
Went to discussion.
So at this point, we just need to,
If you're all in favor of coming out of public hearing, that's what's still.
We've already
that's the
done
motion.
that.
You hadn't done all
We
in
didn't
favor.
vote.
we didn't vote. Okay.
So we had Vice Chairman Neely Hadley, second by Brian Threadgill, to come out of public hearing, then we're in discussion on that.
Discussion now.
So
So at this time, we need to have a motion. We
to
need to
come out,
vote.
to come out of public hearing and then vote. Normally it's 6:20.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
You should go do the vote in public hearing. I know, but you didn't do all in favor.
All right, so at this time, we just need a motion to, we need to vote.
All in favor of coming out of public hearing?
Yeah.
You're saying we can continue this once we come out of this, then we can, if you want
So
to
we just
take
need,
a
okay,
motion.
You can't
so,
continue public hearing.
so we need to make a
You can vote on it,
motion.
you can discuss it.
I need to, okay, so
You
I
already
need
got the motions on the floor, all they're doing is all in favor.
yeah, I need to get a vote for all those in favor of coming out of public hearing. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we're now out of public hearing.
Sorry that was so difficult.
That's all right. So at this time,
Well, it's a little bit different.
now at this time, can we get a motion on case number 7?
I'd like to make a motion that we close public hearing on that. Is that what I have?
I've already done that.
Okay, that's what I'm...
Y'all can vote right now, or it sounded
can
like
vote
you
later.
wanted to vote at the next meeting.
Yes,
You wanted to
I'd like to make a motion that we table this and extend it to the next meeting that we have for further research.
That's
of
June
what
the
was
12th.
presented
And
on
that's
June the 12th.
June the 12th. Okay, can I get a second? Second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so the next item is case number 8. I'd like to get a motion that we go into public hearing. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Okay, our next case is case number 8. Sure, we have that one. Thank you.
Case number 8, I have property owners Dustin Owens and Ruth Lamb, and Mark Baranowski is the agent for them. Mr. Baranowski is requesting a rezoning of a total of a 5-acre tract from 2 existing parcels. One of them originally contains 10.65 acres that belongs to Mr. Owens. The other part is a 31.11-acre piece of property from Ms. Ruth Lamb. A special use permit to construct a 300-foot guide wire communication tower. The current zoning in that area is RR, which is a 10-acre minimum, and they're requesting to have it rezoned to LDR to create the 5-acre parcel, and also have a special use permit for a cell phone tower. The creation of a smaller lot will not adversely affect the value of surrounding properties. The proposed 5-acre acres and tower site will be accessed by an easement off of an existing drive off of Roosevelt Highway under a lease agreement, and it's projected to greatly improve wireless coverage for the area between Luthersville and Greenville, as well as the residents along the Roosevelt Highway. No existing tower or structure is located within the geographic area required to meet the applicant's engineering requirements. A portion of the subject property is currently under a conservation use covenant. Under state law, leasing a portion of property for cell tower will not constitute a breach. However, that portion of the parcel shall cease to be subject to the covenant and will be taxed at fair market value, provided it's not sold prior to the expiration of the covenant, and no breach would occur. Based on staff review and analysis of information as presented, supplemental information is requested, a site visit, and review of surrounding area. The applicant will comply with Meriwether County Zoning Ordinance, Article 9, Communication Tower Regulations. Staff recommends the approval of the rezoning and granting of a special use permit to the applicant upon the applicant's compliance with the following conditions. Again, these are lengthy, but in any of our special use permits, we do like to put conditions on it to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going to happen prior, during, and after the life of these items. Number 1, the applicant shall reserve a 10-foot vertical space on the tower for installation of Meriwether County communication equipment at no cost to the county public safety and emergency responders. Emergency 24-hour, 365-day per year contact information shall be provided to the county sheriff's office, fire department, and E911. The tower site fall zone shall be no less than 300 feet from all property lines. Easement access shall have a secure gate to prevent any unauthorized traffic. The buffer required to be not less than a 20-foot base width consisting of approved plantings plus a fence. Chain link fences shall be installed around the entire perimeter of the leased area covered under the special use permit. The fence will be a minimum of 6 feet in height with an additional 3 rows of barbed wire at top. Fence shall have green or black slats or vinyl covering approved by Meriwether County Building and Zoning Department. If the facility is damaged in any manner, repairs shall be made immediately. If the facility is inoperable for a period of 12 consecutive months, facility shall be removed at applicant owner's expense and property restored to its pre-development condition. Applicant shall provide Meriwether County Building and Zoning with the plan for removal and restoration of property at the end of the life of the facility. The grass, brush, and other vegetative growth shall be maintained at all times for the life of the operation. Special use permit shall allow use of property for 1 telecommunication tower. Tower height shall not exceed the permitted height. Any required or planned lighting shall be established so that adjacent properties and roadways are not adversely affected, and to preclude glare onto or direct illumination of adjacent properties and streets. Final inspection by a structural engineer licensed in the state of Georgia shall be submitted to the building and zoning director prior to the department's final inspection of the completed facility. The applicant shall submit a pre-development site plan indicating buffer, grading, and erosion and soil control for the site. And again, you have those up there as well as in your packets. The applicant must meet all local, state, and federal regulations governing telecommunication towers. And you have information in your pack as well. We did have some people that came to our planning commission, had some concerns, all of which are listed there, and they were addressed. And Mr. Theron and/or the planning commission addressed those, and everybody was satisfied with the questions, answers to all their questions. We also shared some emails with some of the members of Flying In Estates that had opposition to the tower. All those are included in your packets, and they were also discussed and read during our planning commission. With all of this presented to our planning commission last month and recommendation from my office, they have recommended approval of the site, as do we, for the 5-acre rezoning on the 5-acre piece there, as well as the special use permit.
Thank you.
Mr. Baranowski is the agent for that piece of property.
Mr. Bernowski, if you'd like to come up and address the board, please.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. And we've already gone through a lot of it, I'm sure already. And the reason in response to some of your question from your attorney is for everyone that's brought up for my medical doctor that says it's bad, I can go find some that say it's okay. And so when you've got that, I mean, we could do that all night long. And that's why the law states that you can't deny it for that reason. The reason why there's more towers needed now is because people are using them more. And I can also go find study after study that shows people won't move into
I'll
neighborhoods.
stop you and say I appreciate that input, but I did it for my own personal reason that I want to do this, whether it's a law or not. So that's where I'm going with that.
And that's fine, and I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying that's why the law says that, because for everything that somebody brings, there's other studies that say it's just nothing there.
There's always.
Yeah, and I've got, in addition to owning sites, and I may not look like it, but I've been doing this for 23 years, and I've built about 90 sites in Alabama, Florida, South Carolina. And it's been like this forever. There's no, it's both sides of it. And I also have a tower maintenance company, and my guys climb around these towers all day long, 365 days a year, and you're talking about 50 watts. And these antennas are 50 watts. So by the time it gets from 200 feet to wherever mile away, I'm repeating whatever the previous applicant said. But I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I just have a question, really for Kathy. I noticed on this application, one of your board members voted against, whereas on the previous one, they didn't. Was there a reason? Is there anything you can share?
That night, we had someone here in opposition, and he just said no.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, at this point, because we do have a citizen that's concerned, I think we owe it to every citizen to look at every avenue and every possibility before we make a decision. And that's the other part as to why I did that.
You're well within your right to vote no. You could be unanimous no, but that still doesn't mean that it will prevent the tower, in other words, is what I'm saying. And, because we've gone, I've had unanimous yes, unanimous no. Just what I'm telling you, for the last 20 years, it's just all over the place. And that's why the law states, for health reasons, you can't deny it. But I'll be glad to answer any question you have.
If Commissioner Bray has a
I
question.
have a question, but this is more that Kathy also, just for our next meeting, if we could get a number count of how many towers we have in Meriwether County. I know that, Meriwether County is growing, and with the new law that was just passed, I don't see how we're going to avoid it, but, just out of curiosity, I would like to know how many towers we do have here in Meriwether County.
I can work on that, but if I may make a comment, information that I learned from our planning commission, I'm not sure if it's Mr. Watkins and his group or Mr. Baranowski, but I would like to ask if he could describe to you how these systems work and what the outreach is as far as the area that you actually get service from an individual tower. They explain some of that here in the planning commission, and I think that would be beneficial for these members to hear that, if you don't mind.
Right. My AT&T AT&T goes out, coming from Luthersville and Greenville. I have AT&T, but I know my phone service goes out on Roosevelt Highway.
My Verizon does.
Well, part of what's happening and why you've got multiple of these sites is there's twofold. One, you are growing. I don't know who said that. Somebody said, you are growing.
Right.
Which means people want the services more. And so for the longest time, what the cell companies did is they spent their money where the population was. And so you're growing, and so people are asking. I had that map in here. I don't know if I left it with y'all or not, but I think I did give you the one showing without the new tower and with the new tower.
The map coverage. I think we
Yes,
got
ma'am.
something in here.
Yeah, it's a colored map showing before and after. That's it. Well, the color one looks a whole lot better.
Well, I was like, we didn't get the color, but.
But anyway, so you see, that's what's happening. So in the old days when we started this, what you had was two carriers, and they were all analog. You could put a tower up 400 feet, and that analog tower would cover about 10-mile radius. They've gone to digital, which allows you to do the text, the data, and all these things on it, but when they went to digital, the circumference of the zone goes from 10 miles down to about 4 to 5 miles. So right there, you're doubling the number of towers you need in any area across the U.S. And so, also, it's not happening here yet, but if you go to some places like up towards Noonan, or whatever county you say, I think Coweta or something like that, what they then have problems with is actual capacity, where you might actually have coverage. There's so many people using the phone, they overload that tower and they got to put another one up and handle the data traffic. And so that's what's causing all this. And so when you go into downtown Atlanta or downtown Chicago, where I was a few weeks ago, and you can look at the light poles, you can see the little canister. And so people are using them. And that's what's causing the need here in Meriwether County, is because of that. Those two things is what's doing that. And like I said, I'm doing this a long time, and for whatever property values, health concerns, we can do it all night long.
We appreciate you sharing that information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak, who have signed up and not signed up, please sign up, that has opposition to the tower in this location?
That one list, so.
Charles McCanna? McCanna? Okay, you can come up and speak. Oh, the M's. McCanna's the last one. Sorry about that.
My name is Charles Hanna. Currently, I am the president of the Flying In Estates Incorporated, which is the homeowner association for the Flying In Estates, which is a private subdivision airstrip about 2.5 miles south of Luthersville. And we just had our annual meeting, and this came up at the annual meeting. The vast majority out there probably were one or two members. There's 36 feet parcels. So there were one or two people that either didn't care or didn't want to oppose it. Everybody else was, yeah, we don't really want this tower. We represent about $5.5 million in fair market value of property in our subdivision. This tower is about, from what I can tell from, we use Google Maps to measure distances with, appears to be about 5.7 miles directly off the south end of our runway, in line with it. I realize 300 feet's not a lot. You don't expect an airplane to be flying around 300 feet. But we are surrounded by towers. The FAA does not protect airspace around private airstrips. That's the reason the FAA would have no objection, is because we're a private airstrip, and they wouldn't have any objection because they don't protect the airspace around private airstrips. But the more towers that spring up around us, the more difficult it becomes to fly. We have, there's one tower up at Primrose, which is much closer to us. There's the very large tower, and I don't remember how tall it is, something like 1,600 feet, at Forest Road and Highway 100, which is the second tallest tower in the state. It's about 6 miles from us. There's about a 400-foot tower at Lone Oak, or not really at Lone Oak, it's between Luthersville and Lone Oak, right on the highway. Right in line with our runway on the north end, about 2 or 2.5 miles away up on Calvin Murphy Road is a tower. Actually, I think it's 2 towers. They're very closely.
Water tower too.
Yeah,
There's a water tower.
But and there's a microwave tower, but it's not real tall, but it's right there in Luthersville on Railroad Street, actually. We're just surrounded by towers, and that's our objection to it is towers, where does it quit? And we fly airplanes, and airplanes occasionally, hopefully not, but they do run into towers. This is a cable-stayed tower, so it will have cables around it. Again, at 300 feet, no, airplane shouldn't be flying there, but one never knows what's going to happen. It basically, we just are opposed to any additional towers within reasonable distance. And I'm not going to go over the 3 minutes. I understand the rules.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hammond.
Having served on the Board of Assessors 15 years, I well understand that, so.
We appreciate you serving on that board.
Thank you.
I have a question for Charles.
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
in looking at this particular tower, which ultimately will be 300 feet, if there was a difference in height here, would it affect you? How? No, I think it's just height. 300 feet.
Okay.
This one's 300, the one over them like 200.
200. Never mind, I'm just 200.
Now, go ahead.
If it were shorter, if it were probably 200 foot, I might have said, well, ain't even worth talking about. I don't know where you draw the line on that. It's very difficult. I didn't even mention, but across the highway and maybe a quarter mile or so this direction from this proposed tower, probably not more than a half mile as crow flies, is a tower right on the highway up here. A pretty good sized tower. I'm not familiar with the elevation on that tower.
I think it's 300 foot.
Yeah, it looked like it. It's cable stayed, so I figured it was around 300 foot. We've got this big tower right here too. There's a lot of towers around here. Where we draw the line is how short it gets before we go, oh, we really don't care. I don't know. 300 foot probably is somewhere where I start going, there's some concern. Just as a pilot. But it's a real tough call.
Now, if you're under 200 feet, you do not have to light the tower. And if you are over 200, you do have to light.
And that says something right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say, we had looked into this issue because understood that Charles and some others had the issue. And the Federal Aviation Administration did make a determination of having no hazard to air navigation on this tower. It says the aeronautical study revealed that the structure does not exceed obstruction standards, would not be a hazard, and as you said earlier, private airplanes are not really impacted.
Private airports, they do not protect the airspace.
Right.
But they did check this one out, is what you're saying.
They did, based upon I don't know if it's based upon flying in the States, but they did check it out versus, the Warm Springs Airport, and they indicated that it's not a aeronautical study, concern. Now,
They wouldn't have given us any consideration at all.
Right. Yeah, as a private airport, I think you're right. But I'm not a pilot. Would it be common to fly under 300 feet?
No, actually not. Like I say, we're splitting hairs here, I suppose, but because one normally expects to take an airplane off, and if I recall, it's been a while since I've flown an airplane, but 500 foot would be the normal minimum altitude above ground that one would expect to fly at, unless you have some unusual circumstance for doing otherwise.
There's the indicated where the Warm Springs, Fairway County Airport is, and they're flying in the States is also
John Travel Road.
How far did you say that tower is from there? 6 miles?
It's best I can tell from Google Maps, from the south end of our runway, it's 5.7 miles. And like I said, it's perfectly in line with it, which caught my eye right away. Because at night, we have the one on the north end, and at night you can stand out there on the runway and look to the north. There's the one right down to the north, and it's even closer, and it's very frustrating, the people that fly in and out of there.
How many feet do you climb per mile at a plane?
Do what?
How many feet do you climb per mile?
Oh, you're asking a tough question there. I'd have to do some mathematics on it. Well, as far as clearing this tower, no, you wouldn't have any, you'd have to have an airplane that just almost didn't climb in order to clear that tower, genuinely.
Well, the slowest climb out there, what would it be that you would be flying? 30 feet a minute? What would it take?
Something,
So divide 30 into 5,280, and that would be essentially your height.
yeah, and it's 30 foot a minute, and if you want to figure 60 miles an hour or something like that, do the math. Yeah, he asked a question that comes back, goes way back, because there used to be an obstacle at Fulton County Airport at near Six Flags, and the tower would ask you if you're capable of climbing so many feet per mile or something weird like that. And it's one of those things pilots don't normally figure it in. It's a difficult number to work with.
176.
We appreciate you sharing your concerns as well. Thank you so much. If there's anyone else in opposition, if not, if Mr. Brusnowski would like to come up and make some closing statements before we go out of public hearing.
What your question referring
Or to
to?
address the entire board.
Oh, well,
Sir.
his question, what he's referring to is the glide slope, is what the FAA calls that. So you've got an airport right here, and so they know they've got certain levels to glide in. Some
Glide
airports,
in.
they come and turn.
And turn in.
Yeah,
Others
and
they
by
don't
the
glide.
way, I will tell you that there are some towers below 200 feet that have to be lit. I've got one in Thompson, Georgia that's 170 feet, and it's in enough proximity to the airport where they do require light. So just a clarification there. And you are in possession that we already have filed FAA, they've cleared it. And,
I think my question was, and I don't know what to, obviously you reach out to more territory, you cover more area when you're at, what is the best, 290 feet?
repeat that.
You cover more area when you've got your pedestal on that tower set at 290 feet.
That's right. That's about, like I said.
Well, just for my own edification, if you had it at 200 feet, how much area would you cover, or how much would you lose?
They didn't put that calculation in there, but it obviously shrinks it, which then brings the need for another tower.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the scatter pattern there, it'll show you that that's what they're covering with
I
that
guess my
level.
other question is, why did you elect here to go with the guide tower?
Because you can't
And
do a
the
monopole 300 feet.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's back to the same question again, yeah.
Yeah. About the most you want to do with a monopole is
200 feet?
250 would be, that's an awful big pole, but anyway. Yeah.
The first one, I think, was, what would we just look at, was right at 200.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I've got another monopole in the state that's 200 feet. And that's standard there, but anything above that, you really, big pole. And I don't personally know of any 300-foot monopoles in the state.
All right, does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I would like, if I could, address Mr. Threadgill, that earlier I was not trying to, I was just trying to clarify. I want to make sure I came across that.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I
Saw your son out there.
Yeah.
I see someone else got their hands up, but technically we had already allowed him to speak, so, those who have the application get the last statement, so I don't, apologize on that. Okay, at this time, is there any other discussion, any other questions? At this point, we'd like to get a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we come out of public hearing. I'd like to get a vote. All those in favor? Okay. Anyone opposed? If not, the vote carries. We're now out of public hearing. All right, so at this time, what is the desire of the board for case number 3?
discussion before.
Yes, I'm
we-
sorry.
Okay, before we do the motion.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I've got something I'd like to share. I was just talking to Nathan down here, and he's been in a number of court cases and lawsuits and what have you concerning turning down towers. He says he's never won one. So if we're not careful in the criteria we use to turn down a tower, it can be overturned in court, is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Correct. It's not like your standard zoning case. The Telecommunications Act is federal law. It makes it a whole lot harder to win and it shifts the burden to use as a tower concept. I think that.
But we could deny one for repeating flight pattern.
Try.
Am I allowed to make a comment?
Not at this time, I'm sorry. Any other discussion, any other?
Well, the other things, if we're gonna delay the other one to the 12th because of the health issue, whether we can vote on it regarding the health issue, I don't think we have any choice but to put this one to the 12th too, at least to get the answers that you wanted from that. But nobody really probably wants a tower in their backyard or whatever, but like it or not, technology is driving society right now. We're not gonna have any choice but to have towers and things for people to communicate.
I agree,
So-
I think she made a valid point.
Oh, yeah, I understand, like I said, if they did decide that, that, like you said, Congress is gonna have to change that. But it would be good to know, did they really have something, or they just got the pressure, took it down, or whatever. I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. But also, this is horrible, and I've lost loved ones to cancer. I wouldn't want my children to have cancer, but we gotta face it. Everything in the world we do today causes cancer.
So we got to put this down.
I was saying, we walk around with this to our ear 90% of the time. You're exactly right. So we're choosing, and our children do it, our grandchildren do it, it's a double-edged sword.
Well, the thing is, we all have carcinogens in our body. Whether those carcinogens are activated or not is that. So if something were to, from the radiation, activate that carcinogen, that's where the cancer is there. It just has not been activated. It's in a dormant state. So if we do have something that activates that, it becomes non-dormant, and then therefore it is an active cancer. That's where that actually comes from. We carry those cells in our body. So the reason I did that one and delayed it is I do think you have a valid point. I am in the medical field, and I do want to read it just from me to see if there is something there. We may not have a chance in hell to stop it, but I do think that since it is a valid concern of a citizen, and you're not in my district, and I don't do anything for a vote, then I think we owe it to you for coming to us and presenting that and showing your concern, and that's why I made that motion.
Like I said, I just don't think if we're gonna do one, I think we gotta do both. It doesn't make any sense to do one and not do the other.
You want me to beat the button this one too?
Huh?
So again, the biggest thing is, give the board, those who have some interest, some due diligence, so they can do some research.
2 weeks cannot make that big of a difference.
Yeah, make that difference. So at this time, what is the desire of the board?
I'll make a motion to postpone this until the next meeting,
June 12th.
June 12th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to carry this public hearing on to June 2nd. Is it the 2nd or 12th? 12th. I'm sorry, June the 12th. I'm sorry about that.
It is.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank everybody for coming out speaking during the public hearing. Okay, our next item is unfinished business.
9:08.
We know what time that is.
Okay. The unfinished business, yeah, we do. We made an adjustment to the agenda, and this is where, Mr. Gay, you want to bring to our attention about the moratorium on accepting roads?
Yes, ma'am.
Until
What I wanted
August?
to do was this. We had put a moratorium on the acceptance of new roads into the county road system pending a review of our road requirements, because right now they're substandard, and we want to increase those and make it where the roads will last, the new roads that come into our county road system. And we just have not had time. We had the big flood that came in. It's taken a lot of our time. So we hadn't had a chance to deal with that. So I wanted to ask you guys to extend the moratorium to August 31st, and we'll try to finish it before then. But that way it'll give us plenty of time to be able to develop that, have a public hearing on it, and, make those changes.
Do you honestly feel that's enough time considering everything we've got to do around roads and all of that?
I do. I'm in the process right now of working on the codes. When I get to that section of it, I'll try to go ahead and address that then. So I think that will give us enough time. That'll certainly look, a couple months worth of it. So I think
Chair, I make a motion that we extend moratorium on new roads to August 31st.
All right, is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone against it? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, new business, is the appointment to the library board.
Do we have a list of who's that?
Have a letter of it's in the package, woman's interest. Hold on one second, let me try this.
I don't think it's
I don't
attached.
see it.
It's not attached.
It's gonna be your second package. Third package.
Yeah, this
So it's such a big agenda.
Jamie Desmond is one of the board, one of the board commissioners appointees. Her term expires June 30. She's eligible for appointment. We appreciate it if the commissioners could vote to reappoint her to the library board. And she is,
Janie Eastman.
right,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
All right, can we get a motion on the floor to appoint, is it Janie?
Janie Eastman.
Janie Eastman to...
I'll make that motion, and then I'll talk to her, and if she decides she doesn't want to again, I'll make a motion to remove her, but at this point, I'll make a motion to place her back.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item on new business appointment to the DFAX Board, District 1. I have appointed Ms. Annice Trace Wright to that board. She was finishing out a term for Ms. Johnson Reeves, and so at this point, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint her so she can finish out that term for the next 5 years.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Ms. Johnson, you sure you don't want to come back?
At this time, I'd like to get a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the appointment to the Pathway Community Service Board.
That would be me, and I do not have any confirmation back from someone that I spoke to, so I'd like to table at this point.
That is on a motion?
Yes.
Okay, and can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we table this. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? If not, the vote carries. Next item is the grand jury presentation for May the 29th. And Mr. Gay, you going over that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
This
you.
is really just for acceptance to the minutes. This is a May 2019 term. Their recommendation of inspections, they thank the various officers of the court. One thing to note, they did appoint a committee to review the county jail. And the inspection team came back talking about it was freshly painted, well organized, kitchen area was spotless, no foul odors. The staff was very professional, jail grounds was good in order, and they indicate this is a complete turnaround from how the jail looked at some time in the past. So, kudos to the sheriff and his staff for that.
Done a great job with what they had to work with. But at some point in time, this county's going to have to build a deal. But they've done a great job. So based on, So what do we need to do, make a
Y'all
motion
just need
just
to
to?
accept it
Okay.
for the minutes.
All right. So just to get a motion to accept it?
So moved.
All right, and there's motions a second? Okay, and any more discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is repair on Rocky Mount Bridge over Beaver Creek for the southern and northern, what is this, a big abutment? Mr. Gay?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Bill's here if, if you guys have any questions to that. This bridge was originally closed by GDOT. It's been a year better ago, maybe longer than that. It had some damage on the south end, and, it was closed. We looked at making that repair. We got some quotes on that from, some local contractors. We visited this here a couple weeks ago, and now not only the southern abutment, but also the northern section is also damaged. So the whole thing's kind of fell in, and it's dropped about yay far, from what it was back when we originally looked at it. We had a price really from Crawford Grading initially, and then McCoy Grading said they were, very busy and didn't have time to work on this considering their current workload. We went back and talked to Crawford Grading again to look at now that we have to include both bridge abutments, and they came back with a revised quote of $21,250 to make this bridge repair. And it's one of those, we tried to submit it and get some funding from GDOT under the off-system bridges, but because it's in really, flood zone, we were not able to gather any assistance on that particular bridge. But it is one that's been out. I get a lot of calls on it. I think we may have some property owners here tonight on this issue, and right now they're having to travel quite a distance around to get from one side of the property over to the other. And Mr. McCoy, you've been there and you've seen it.
Yes, and I was just thinking, wasn't the initial bid $14,000 to do just one side?
That's right.
And they've come back and said, we'll just go ahead, we've got our equipment out there, we'll do both sides for $21,000.
21,250.
Yeah, and there may be something we need to look into once we restore this bridge, is some way to keep these heavy trucks off that bridge.
Right.
We've done some things down at the covered bridge where we've got a rail they have to try to get under if they want to get on the bridge. And I don't know what would work in this case, Mr. Bill. You may have to reach in your repertoire of quick tricks there and see what you can come up with. But we don't need that kind of weight going across that bridge again.
The DOT will reevaluate the structure once it's been repaired and then come up with a weight limit.
Well, I understand
Well,
that, but they don't pay any
across it.
attention to that weight limit if he's loaded with 80,000 pounds of logs, he's coming on across there.
And you would think there wouldn't be any shortcutting traffic like that, but the day I was down looking at it with GDOT, there was a large truck pulling a trailer full of porta-johns. That was coming down, and they ride right on across this bridge, and at that time, it was just doing this when they went over. And I'm like, I don't know where.
So it does have, I mean to cut you off, so it does have the signage for the limitation, weight limits on there now, so it's just a question of people not adhering to it.
It's closed.
It's closed now, but prior to that.
It had signs, but there's nothing left hardly there now.
So what you're needing from us is just the approval to go ahead and let them do this work?
Right.
And that they're looking to be able to do this very soon?
They would be able to do it very soon. Absolutely.
All right. Can we get a motion on the floor to go ahead and get this work done?
I'll make a motion, we proceed with the bids.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second that we move forward on the repairs of the Rocky Mount Bridge and Bear Creek. At this, is any more discussion? If not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gate, and thank you, Bill, for all the work that you all are doing. We definitely have our share of roads to be working on. The next item is number 6, change order for Piedmont Paving for additional patching on Sullivan Mill Road.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't have the actual change order tonight. But I did want to let you guys know, when we originally determined the quantities for the LMIG program, the patching on Sullivan Mill was estimated based upon the damaged section of the roadway at that point in time. Since that original estimate, the area that needs to be repaired has expanded. And, if we don't pick up that additional area, we're going to have a patch section in the middle of two sides that need patching themselves. We're still working on the quantities and what it will take there. We estimate, or Bill estimated about probably $10,000 to add to our contract. It's so big and 3 on the contract, I think. But I did want to go ahead and let you guys know about this, and we're going to expand that. And as soon as we're able to work with that change order to get the quantities, I'll bring that back.
So at this time, we just need an approval to do the additional for the change.
Right.
But we don't know exactly what that amount is.
Don't know what it is, but I just want you guys to know that we were going to, be expanding that patch.
Question is, we got to do it.
Right, we got to do it. Makes no sense. We're not going to do that. We don't need to do that.
We might as well not do the rest of it. Okay. At this time, can I get a motion on the floor that we go ahead and make this change order for Sullivan Mill Road?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, if not, I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Vote carries. All right, next item is number 7, request for assistance from the City of Luthersville on East Oak Street, Luthersville Road resurfacing project. Mr. Gay, you want to explain this one?
Yes, ma'am, sure will. We, in an effort to help the cities with their big and various other projects, we went to all the cities and said, hey, if you've got anything that you'd like for us to include as we bid the LMIG, that way, you can take advantage of the mobilization, you can take advantage of the bids we're getting on the other, do some work that you want to do. Well, Luthersville, every time I think in the last 2 years I've met with them, they talk about East Oak Street and the condition of East Oak Street. And so they wanted to look at including about a mile section of East Oak Street in the LMIG project. We did that. We've since looked at it again with the contractor. And this section of roadway is so deteriorated, they're going to have to go into a full depth reclamation where they grind everything that's there up. They're going to have to add cement to that to make it a good base. And then they're going to have to go back and resurface on top of that. That project, generally we've been running a little bit over, right around $100,000 a mile for resurfacing. But with this being the full depth reclamation, this projected cost is about $225,000. Well, the city, asked about this. I told them what the cost was, and the mayor had notified me that they had to approve the contract. But she also wanted to ask for the county's consideration in assisting them with the cash flow. She asked if we could assist them by providing $50,000 toward the project, and they will reimburse the county with future SPLOST funds received by the city. Commissioner Bray asked me today what the city receives every year. It's about $62,500 is what Luthersville gets in.
You say 62?
$62,500, right. $62,500. They get $405,000 over the term, and that's $62,500 per year. In their spot, that's SPLOST contract. And so they were asking the county to consider this, and they would, reimburse the county and with future SPLOST funds. And I included, I think, a copy when I sent this for your review of the contract. And if the board chooses to approve this, I would recommend that we enter into an intergovernmental agreement to be executed by both parties. And that intergovernmental agreement I kind of drafted the other day just in case. I haven't had a chance to share it with Nathan. But it would be, they asked for a 5-year term. I think that's a little longer than I would recommend. Maybe a 3-year term. And then from there, would like to be a guarantee that they would reimburse the county from SPLOST or any other future funds they may have available. And it really was without interest. And also that before we did that, they would have to execute the contract with Piedmont. They would have to have the work done, and we would only pay that at the end of the contract. We wouldn't want to pay it the first initial payment. They would have to pay whatever was owed up to that time. That is contingent upon what the board wants to do with that. So this was a request from the city. I brought it to you guys tonight. I got it on, I think, May the 17th. I brought it to you guys the first meeting available because the contractors in the area working, and I didn't, to lessen any mobilization charge or whatever, wanted to have him take a look at it while he was here, if we were going to go forward.
That's in my district, and I definitely have some questions and some comments, but Commissioner Bray, you have some questions for...
Well, my first question was, have they already gotten their squash for this year? And then the second question is, what is the total that they are asking for the cash flow?
They're asking, the project the project is $225,000.
So are they asking?
They're asking that we put $50,000 toward that 225. They would cover the balance of that, and then they would in turn reimburse us the $50,000 over the next 3 years.
So if they're getting $62,000 a year from Splosh, why would we extend it over a 3-year?
Well, I mean,
They probably got some of those funds designated, I think. They survive off of SPLOST, about like we do probably.
Right, and
They may have
so
other
that's my
projects,
next question. Do we have enough Splosh money to do what the county need to do? I know that we're in desperate need of public work equipment, because I'm getting so many calls about these ditches that need cleaning out with this overflow of rain, and I know we brought this up in a meeting before, and we have not even taken care of that project for the county. And the third thing, are we going to set a precedent for the rest of the city? If we allow them to come in and ask for emergency funds, what are we going to do when the next city come in?
Well, I think, to go back and answer questions on that, the 62.5, I don't know what it's allocated for each year, but that's their share, the approximate share of the SPLOST. And I think a lot of that right now goes back to debt service, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah.
Because we got that debt service on the...
And do they get it every month? Do we get our SPLOST every month or every quarter?
We got the current SPLOST, we got that money up front.
So we already have it. So they've already had it. They probably spent it for this year. So it'd be
Any
good to
proceeds that they mentioned we get now goes toward that.
be good the next one.
But it does come in monthly, I think.
Yeah.
The proceeds from sales tax.
I had it, the new one starts March or April of next year.
And to address, Mr. Bray, your questions, the transportation and resurface is sort of a continuous thing. We have money come, money goes. You saw auditors today. I don't really think, and Bill tracks the finances better, I don't think that would, impact us greatly. I know we get a lot of calls on that street too. As far as the precedent goes, I think you have to have it very clearly defined on what it was, and that we were just simply not a bank, but that we would, help the small towns if they had a project that they were willing to, kind of contribute. We get the same assistance from GDOT, so GDOT helps us, and we help others.
Well, they get LaMig.
It all goes back. They do
LaMig.
get LaMig.
How much do they get LaMig? Do we know?
I want to say they're LaMig, because I think I helped them work on
About
this.
10 or 12.
Yeah, I was going to say about $15,000 a year for their meeting.
One of my concerns
And they've
is...
been saving it for,
One of my concerns, and I have several, it is in my district, and roads will always be a discussion for any city or county. There's no ifs and buts about it. But continuously, and it definitely needs to be addressed. In the city limits of Lucasville, I do believe they have a total of 8 streets that they're responsible for. 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd, Wesley, Church, all that. So, not knowing what's been resurfaced in the past couple of years, I don't know unless we get that. I think one of my main concern is I want to see something I would prefer, I don't know about the rest of the board, would like to see a breakdown of where they're getting their funds from. Have they looked at other options? Have they looked at community block grants? Have they looked at what other resources have they looked at? Because I don't want, I'm like Commissioner Gray, you come to the county, because, the county, because right now, I don't even know where the county's getting the funds from. Bill may know, but we've got so many projects we need to take care of too. Where is these dollars coming from? Where we're gonna pull these dollars from? I just want to know what other options have they looked at. I understand that Piedmont Paving is in the area, but this discussion has not just came up. You went and assist them on LeMig. They hadn't even, prior to you helping them out, they never even took advantage of their LeMig program. Didn't even know they had, but that's not the county's responsibility. Because just like any other city, people pay city tax for a different reason and stuff like that. And I think we've been there a lot of times helping, but I just don't see how, I would like to see in writing the breakdown of all the different potential funding that they have looked at. And I also, after this was brought to my attention, I reached out to the other city councilman, and you said that they voted on it, and there's nothing that's been indicated that they, as a board, has voted on this.
Okay.
So, we need something, I would like to see something more in writing. That's just my personal opinion.
Talking about the funding, I was honestly very concerned that they,
I'm gonna let the board know I have to take over my children's duty tonight. And I grossly underestimated how long it needed to take.
We always
do.
Less than an hour, so I got a few more minutes. I need a divorce lawyer.
Right. Well, pick them up an ice cream on the way.
I have nothing to report.
Okay,
we covered executive
session already.
I would like to address that for just a minute, because I get a lot of complaints. That's true. This section of road is definitely in the chairman's district. But I have a lot of people that come into my area down that road, and they are constantly calling about Lucasville Road. And they almost always put the icing on the cake by saying, when are y'all ever going to do anything about that stretch of road up there, comes out of Lucasville there and up to the city limits? And that this is brought up. Well, first off, I've got it out because I can say, well, that's really not my responsibility. But by the same token, if you stop and look at this thing, you get as much through traffic on that street, and I heard a bunch of streets named in Lucasville that we don't have anything to do with as residents. We drive mainly, and that's an artery, and that Lucasville Road is a well-traveled road. I can see where it would take a lot of wear and tear. And understanding, we're talking about total reclamation here of that, and I don't know, it looks like to me delay is only going to drive your price on up.
Well,
So listening to this and what's going on here, I understand there's details, but by the same token, we've got to move the ball down the field some. And if it means if we have to sit here and say, okay, if you're willing to pay us back, and I'd like to see it done in 2 years, Mr. Chairman. We have done some very similar things to this. I know we've done it with the airport authority a number of times. But the thing is, we spot the money, they pay us back. We get the road complete, it's kind of in-house, and really and truly, what they have done to offset this cost, or what the city of Lucasville is doing to handle their expenses, really is not our business. We don't get involved in that. That is theirs. All we can do is answer this, can you help us with this?
I was a little surprised that they had the 175.
Well, and I know Commissioner Gregor wants to make a comment, so you make your comment, then I'll make mine.
Okay. I understand Madam Chairman's position, I understand Commissioner Gray, and I understand Buster. But what I do want to say is I almost do feel obligated to any city within the county, because those individuals within the city also pay county tax. And yes, those are for two different purposes. But we also owe those citizens the consideration of their tax money going into the county. And if we can, and if we have it, and I do understand we need things, but they're at a point where it could, if they don't have the amount of money to fulfill this obligation to do this, it could wind up costing them a whole lot more money in the long run, I would think. So I do feel that we have some type of obligation to those county taxpayers that live within the city limits when those situations occur, because like Buster said, we've done it for other entities and,
Well,
you
we've
know,
done it for other cities.
yeah, we
We've
have.
done it for the city of Gay and for Warm Springs, I know,
Yes.
also. And like I said, and if $50,000 to us, it's almost like $1 million to these cities. I'm not saying that we got lots of money because we don't, but them coming up with $50,000 is a whole lot different, especially if they're gonna pay it back. And I agree with Commissioner McCoy. 2 years, I think, if we could do that, that would be.
Well, especially if they get that 12 to 15 in Lamig plus a 60-something in Squaw.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have to use it to just meet expenses.
Yeah.
We have to use SPOS for just ordinary general budget stuff. I wish we didn't, but we do.
I do want to make a comment. I agree with what everybody is saying. I think one of the things that I'm most concerned about is the term of the contract.
Right.
That it has to be very specific,
I would.
and it has to have a deadline on it. And if you do not pay, if it's 2 years, and for whatever reason, you can't make that 2-year payment, then there's some interest needs to be involved in it. That's just my personal opinion. We are in the business to serve, but we know it costs money, and it costs not only the cities, the county as well. And yes, that road is very well traveled, there's no question about that. But then, and I'm not trying to put the blame game on anyone, but when you did address it 2 or 3 years ago, that's why it's costing more. And just like Commissioner Threadgill, if it's not addressed now, yes, it's gonna cost more. But at that same thing is, the county has just as many roads and things that we need to address. So if you know that there's a way that we can give this money, and it's not gonna hinder us from doing what we need to do.
Right.
One thing you got to realize about Luthersville too, just what you said earlier, they have not taken advantage of Lamig and some of those things, but Mr. Gay has brought them that to the table, and at least they're doing it now. They didn't do it in the past, and they have a different board now than they had in the past, so hopefully they're going to, but, you know, we don't always get calls on different roads outside of our county, but Luthersville Road is one that I get calls on as well, because I think it is so heavily traveled, you know, and I mean, I haven't been on it since we went out there to the groundbreaking for the fire station.
Don't wanna go out there.
It was horrible.
It's bad. I mean, it's just, we know the road is bad, that's not the issue here. The issue is, what are the terms by, if this board agrees, the terms by which that money will be paid, and what are the stipulations in that? And I want to make sure that their board as a whole is also on board with this.
Well, we do need to find out if they did vote on it, if they as a board is asking for this.
Right,
Right.
right, we need
I got a
clarification on that.
text from Mayor on Friday, May the 17th, said the bid was approved. Called me. Bid was approved.
That
I
means
sent them a
Piedmont,
copy.
Piedmont was approved.
Yes.
That's not saying that the board approved, you're saying
They
Piedmont.
approved the paving.
Well, the
Yeah.
board
Well,
had
I mean,
to
it was
approve
the bid that I
that.
had sent
The board had to
them,
approve that.
and my thought was, we said the bid was approved.
Okay.
I thought it went before the council and they
Okay,
approved.
well,
it.
surely they would have had to approve that.
Right. Well, here would be what I would suggest in terms of what we put in the agreement, if that's what you guys want to do. And Ms. Shirley, you talked about the terms and know what the terms are. I think you guys make the terms. And if we want to do 2 years, we do 2 years. And we could also put a provision in there that if they fail to do this, we could withhold, you know, they'd have to agree, we withhold their splash proceeds till we were reimbursed. So you guarantee you get your money back that way. And I think they...
Well, and I guess that's my main concern, is that you do want to make sure that your terminology in your contract protects not only the city, but the county as well.
Absolutely.
Because as we continue to grow, the need to do this type of work is going to increase. And so, yes, there's just a lot of traffic in that area, and I understand that, but I also want to make sure that we do our due diligence as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's, you know, one of the things we've done is to help them get to where, you know, they needed to be. And just like that, we did the same thing with Warm
I
Springs.
said, it's like, of course, they weren't using theirs either.
Right.
Lord
So,
willing, hope they don't be using it, but.
So I want to make sure if you guys want to do this, we want to go to 2-year term.
Right.
I want to guarantee, and I would say we do a maximum of 50. That's the maximum.
That's the max.
I want to have them execute the contract with Piedmont prior to us doing that and send us an executed copy. That way it obligates them to make that payment. I would want us to pay at the end. I don't want the first payment to Piedmont to come from us. I want them to expend their dollars. We will expend ours at the end of the project. And then we would have that 2-year window for repayment with a provision that if they do not make those payments to us and reimburse us, that we have the right to withhold the future SPLOST proceeds.
Well, they requested $225,000, so they're requesting 50 of that from us. So the amount that they must pay, the $175,000 up front before any payment is considered from
And
us.
they have that
If it's
money.
only $30,000 instead of 50, then at that point we move forward with that amount.
Right.
Did you say they have the 175?
They have the 175.
So they have to spend that first before we do anything.
And I think that's a combination of the MIG that they've saved up over the last 2 or 3 years and their sales tax as well, that they were,
So what are the payments for you, since they have a 2-year window, how much is the payment each year?
25,000.
And we could even do that. We could say 25 first year, the balance of the
Let's
second.
$2,083 per month.
And then, like I say, put in a provision that they will, forfeit their SPLOST dollars if they don't reimburse us. And that way, assures us we can get their money back. Because money comes into you first, doesn't it? Does it already go to the Yeah, so, yeah. So, we
Are
would
we-
touch those dollars.
So, in making sure we get with our counselor that we can have those provisions in the contract,
Right.
So they would need to approve the contract.
but they would have to, the city would have to.
Yeah, they'd have to approve the contract. We'd want to have them committed to it before we ever commit it to them.
At that, and with that, I'd like to get a motion on the floor that we accept the recommendation from Mr. Gay to assist the city of Lucasville on East Oak Road for their resurfacing project. And this is, I'll put it in a motion, I apologize if I just, I'll put in a motion that we accept Mr. Gay's recommendation that we assist the city of Lucasville for their resurfacing project on East Oak Street with a maximum of 50.
I think you could say that, or you could say, based upon the
we're saying
conditions that we discussed,
The conditions that we discussed.
which we discussed a little bit everything.
Well, it's
But what I'll-
2,000, but I'm just saying, I want you to come back with another contract that has a different amount of it.
No, it'll
So I'm
be-
gonna make my motion with 50,000.
You guys
And if you
don't
need
have
to come back and revise that, then you
Yeah.
can come back and
I
revise
will not.
that. And
I
this is
second the chair's motion.
a 2-year period.
2-year period.
So there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Is anyone against it? If not, votes carry.
Okay, thank y'all.
The next item is item number 8, Budget Amendment 3, amendment for the 2019 General Fund budget for the receipt of GDOT grant to receive for the Cove Road culvert.
Before I start on this, let me preface what we're doing here. According to state law, when you receive unbudgeted revenue, you have to come before the board and get their okay to accept that. And also, when you make budget amendments that affect payroll, you have to come before the board to approve that as well. So that's what we're doing now.
Thank you.
First one is $75,000 GDOT transportation grant to be used to repair the Cove Road culvert, amount of $75,000.
That was something that we requested of GDOT in terms of assistance.
Do we need to vote on these each individually? Okay. So can I get a motion on the floor that we accept this budget amendment for the grant from GDOT?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those any more discussion? If not, a call for a vote. All those in favor? Vote carries. Thank you. Next item on the budget is amendment number 4 for the general fund, and this is for the GDOT grant for the striping.
Safety grant.
Safety grant.
Signage and road striping. We get the same kind of grant. Bill and Mr. Gates submitted this to GDOT. This is in the amount of $50,000.
We received both of those.
Yes, I received both of these.
Okay. motion on the floor that we accept the safety grant.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is budget amendment number 5. This is general fund budget for the animal shelter grant.
Madam Chair, this is another generous donation by a benefactor to the animal shelter in the amount of $6,500. Their normal quarterly amount of $5,000, the uptick to $65,000 this past quarter. And the expense accounts are what we're going to apply that money to the amount of $6,500.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Vote carries. Thank you. Item number 11, budget amendment number 6 for the general funds reflecting the January 1st, 2019 employees merit raise.
Madam Chair, you remember from the budget negotiations last year, the board approved up to 2.5% merit raise for the employees. It's basically due to merit. And this is a journal entry moving the money, $119,000 out of the employee benefits line item for the various departments that you see with the spreadsheet attached to the budget. And $119,000 is $3,894. You may notice that this is less than in years past. This is due to the fact that the sheriff's office, we included their merit raises in the budget for last year.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So there it goes in, okay. All right, can we get a motion on the floor to accept this?
So moved.
All right, so there's been a motion and second by Commissioner Threadgill. Any more discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Bill, we're still working with you. Report from the Finance Director.
Quickly, bank balances, business fund balances still remains regular robust at $3 million, with another $300,000 sitting down at 911 up there. And we're still waiting on receiving those FEMA funds. I talk with him at least once a week. He keeps telling me any day now. So, I asked him if he'd like me to just engage call Senator Purdue's office and check on it. He didn't want us to do that right yet. So that's where the balances are. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
The one question I do have you on the landfill, since we're going to look at using those funds for the airport, did we find anything, or have we made that move already?
Have not moved that. I don't anticipate moving that money until they need it.
Okay,
So
it's just been approved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And the last item I have is the property tax analysis. And at the end of April, collections are 95.61, so Department of Revenue will be able to accept our property tax digest for this next year based on that. We would require
Did it have to be at 95?
95%. What I think.
And assessment notices are going to go out either, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday, or maybe that Monday. And we anticipate the appeal period being over at around July 15th, so we'll be needing to come back.
Is there a time frame that those assessments have to go out?
There is.
I mean, are we within the required time? I've just gotten them from other counties already and got them some time ago.
Your real time frame comes in your digest submission, and this will allow us to make the digest submission. I think it's August 1st or,
Yes.
yeah, I'm thinking like that. So we'll be able to do that.
So we'll have to do some advertising and post that 5-year history.
Right. And millage rates.
Okay, I was just wondering these assessment notices. I mean, I know by law we're required to send those out every year. I just want to make sure we're within the required amount of time.
And they're 45-day period on those. They have to be out in those 45 days.
That's all I have.
Is that it? Thank you, Bill. All right, report from the county administrator.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just want to report that our landfill monitoring down at the Durand landfill is it's been reported for March, April, and May, and everything is in order, and there's no issues with that. We're in compliance. Larry Dunaway's here tonight. He may want to speak at this at the end, but Peaches in the Pine event is coming up, and he's asked for some assistance from the county. You gonna talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing we've done in the past, we're asking that our public works help us do the trash pickup. And also, there's a couple other things that Buster kind of got into. We're gonna be borrowing a stage from Scott Callaway over in Woodbury. And we'd like to ask that the public works assist in moving that stage over and getting it set up. We just don't have a lot of folks on our committee to get things done. Of course, the other thing is, we'll be doing, and also I'm gonna be working with the electrician in the morning. The H's and H's needs about 8 to 10 outlets to plug everything in. So we've got two 220 circuits right up by the stage. But what we're gonna do is make some, what I call a huge drop cord that'll bust that 220 down into 8 plugs they can plug into. So it's just gonna be a little bit of an electrical thing to do. But, and of course, the fire chief is letting us use one of the 4x4s, to do the garbage pickup in the area. So, every year we look a whole lot more professional and doing our little Peaches in the Pines, and of course, we're also, our EMTs and 911 folks will be out there doing their activity doing that too. So I think that covers about everything.
I was gonna say, if you're asking for money, we're out.
Done.
We're just asking for help. We know better than ask for money.
Well, we appreciate all the work that you all are doing. This, for those who don't know, it's been an evolving festival and it's done very well, but you had to start somewhere. So every year you're gonna get better. It's just like any other festival.
And of course, Miss Ellen, that runs the Cotton Ticket Fair, she's been our mentor and given us some really good sound advice, and we take it. So, but now with the facilities we got out there, I think when more people get out to Lake Meriwether to see it, some of the other things that are out there are gonna get used more. The walking trail and, as we went around and recruited vendors to come to our event, one of the big selling items that we could sell our event was we have real bathroom.
No porta potties.
No porta potties.
No porta potties.
Shirley, I remember last year you challenged Bill to a dance-off this year.
I don't remember.
Don't remember that either. Bill and I, we already.
Built in the schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta stay?
No, you said it last year. You said, Bill, next year, you just wait till I get on stage.
I was on stage last year. We did do the stage last year.
Did we get that on tape?
Well, we did, didn't we, Bill? We did.
I think a donation.
Donations will be taken. Non-dancers can make a donation.
Thank you so much. All right.
Rest of the things I've got real quickly, there were some issues and concerns about the county transit system.
I can go.
And you will cover that, and I'll let you cover that one. I've been working on code reviews. Ooh, that was a bigger job than I really thought I was, going to be able to take on, but I'm working on it. It's 500 plus pages, and I'll be back with you guys and work on that. I've also met, since our last meeting with you guys, I met with the Board of Elections. Bill and I did Airport Authority, Lake Meriwether Board, Woodbury Planning Commission, and a town hall meeting in Allenton. So, pretty busy period of time.
All right.
And that's one other thing I've got, and I'm sorry. We had, and I thought we originally had it on the agenda, but that's not an issue. There was another request we received for a potential road closure for you guys to consider setting a public hearing on it. We can do that next meeting. That's not an issue at all, but I did want to mention that. Now, that brings into question our other meetings were originally set for the last meeting in June. And I know we've got some people who will not be here then. I didn't know whether y'all wanted to consider, when you set this, when we'll try to put it on at your next meeting, if y'all might want to consider changing the other to have it maybe the last meeting in July.
One of them we already moved to the first meeting, remember, in July.
Right.
That had the attorney here.
Right.
They couldn't do it at the end of June, so
So
don't
there's the
forget.
first in July. What day is that?
That's July the 10th.
it's hard to do those on the daytime when we have so many.
No, we can't do it.
And, I mean, we could reach out to them and see if they could do it. Let's see, the July
The 23rd would be the evening meeting.
23rd be the evening meeting. I didn't know whether y'all wanted to suggest small one day or
I'll
not.
be here then, but I won't be here on the 10th.
23rd?
I'll be here then.
23rd's fine.
Okay. All right, well, I know Kathy needs to get some
I
advertising.
think she's already gone.
And that'll give us more time to do it.
So we're gonna move forward, we need to have a motion to do that?
We will do that at our next meeting in June. We'll go ahead and notify them, we'll change it, we'll do that at that
And that'll
point.
still give us enough time to do the advertising and all we need to do.
And then we'll set the, we'll bring that other one that's been brought up in the question too.
Well, that's the day you definitely gonna have to bring some food.
We will, that's right.
You know that.
I'll say it for you, sir. So anyway, that's all I had. I appreciate it.
All right, report from the county commissioners. Commissioner Threadgill.
I have absolutely nothing, and I'm actually leaving.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brand.
I don't have anything.
You leave it to them on here.
I wish I could just run that straight through, but unfortunately, I do have some things. On the Three Rivers Commission, I've attended that meeting, and I was getting a report for the board as well, but there was an issue concerning the transportation of the buses. And it was one where there's a funding issue with GDOT, and GDOT had decided that they no longer were going to support that, and there was going to be some money that would have to go back. Knowing that, that was not just affecting Meriwether County, it was affecting everybody. So,
Statewide or just our Three Rivers?
just Three Rivers. And I'll give a report so the county can have, but I will give the executive director and this board members a lot of kudos, and they continue to reach out to GDOT, and they really work behind the scenes, and our representative Lynn Westmoreland also work with them. So I'm glad to say that we are able to extend it for another year. And today we received our replacement van, so if you've not had a chance, you can go out and look at it. So we have the new replacement van. And for those in the audience, this is the rural transportation van that goes around in the county and pick people up. We were one of the last counties to take advantage of it, but it's so well needed. And it really assists a lot of people in this county, especially when the county and the board agreed to allow people to go outside of Meriwether County, because a lot of people's doctors are in LaGrange or in Coweta. And to know that we still can provide this service, I say kudos to everyone who was involved in that. There are some legislative things that I'm still waiting to get back from ACCG that's not finalized yet. As soon as that comes available, I'll make sure that we pass that on. Ms. Jane, I think there's some honors for you. You were just on a board. Do you? The West Georgia Technical College Board?
West Georgia Tech Foundation.
Foundation Board. Congratulations. You know, we want to make sure we give you credit for that. All right. That's it for me.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. Over the last several months, a couple of commissioners and I have been attending the Citizens Academy that's been put on by the Board of Education. It is something that they plan to do twice a year. They start it with some elected officials or people within the cities and counties, but it's going to be open to, they're open for nominations or whatever. It is beneficial. If you want to know anything about our school system, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and we all perceive things in different ways, but that one will be in the fall and then next spring. And I'm sure you can reach out to the superintendent's office if you'd like to be a part of that. You meet, well, it wasn't just once a month. I mean, sometimes you meet for 2 hours, sometimes a couple of times a month, sometimes it was once or whatever, but I think it was well worth it. It was eye-opening. So I hope if you're given the opportunity, or if you'd like that opportunity to do that, I think that would, you could certainly benefit from it, because what we go out then and say, and hopefully we're giving out correct information, and no, everything's not perfect, but I think we're in a little bit better shape than what you would initially think, just from the perception that's out there. And the other thing, I just follow from what Carolyn said about the Freedom Celebration in Warm Springs. This will be our 3rd annual Freedom Celebration on June the 29th. And we want children to come and dress up in their red, white, and blue, bring your wagons, your bicycles, whatever, but this year we are adding the pets, and there'll be a competition with those as well. So we hope you'll put that down. We'll start at 10 in the morning instead of 11 because it's usually so hot. And then shortly after noon or so, everything will just wrap up. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McCoy?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm going to make mention of one thing. At first, I wasn't going to say anything. Larry kind of stirred my memory, and I see Mr. Charles Moody sitting back there. This happened this past weekend. We collected about $640 on fishing alone down at Lake Meriwether. That does not include what we collected on the campers or the tent camping, nor does it include the pavilion. So people are learning the lake is there, they're starting to come, and we're going to have to get ready to do some more outlay because our infrastructure on the camping sites is in pitiful shape. But I just thought I would mention that.
It was maxed out. I was down there Saturday morning.
You told me you'd never seen so many people.
I never have. It was
Yeah, we actually got some of Mr. Gay's money.
sure did.
Commissioner Bray has quietly stated that she's willing to be in a fishing
I just want
contest, you know, so.
Am I gonna catch,
You know.
am I gonna catch anything when I go? I want to go fishing.
My grandson,
And that's another competition, that's another contest.
he caught 5 fish. Yeah, caught 5 fish. Took them home. He was going to give 2 to the raccoons, but he told me he wanted humans to eat the other 3. So I said, okay.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you. At this time, public comments. Anyone in the audience want to share something, you can come up and share with the board. I know some of you had other things, but this is your opportunity to let us know.
I don't have to sign up to do this.
No.
Yeah. Public comment. 3 minutes.
If this is related back to that plan, that zoning issue,
You can't
you guys
just
have closed that meeting. You closed that hearing. You
So that means you can't,
can't receive any more comments on that.
all right.
So you can talk in general, but you can't talk about that.
All right, so just get clarification, Mr. Gay just brought to our attention, when we had the meeting about the public hearing on zoning, we can no longer discuss that. So if you want to share something else with us, you're more than welcome, but,
I want to pay you guys a compliment.
well, we'll take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, very professionally done. I hadn't been to a county commissioners meeting in Meriwether County in about 30 years, but it ain't lost its touch. Okay, so thanks for listening about the cell towers. Please keep in mind that our children, our grandchildren can't live long with a brain tumor. Now, the attorney, Mr. Lee, mentioned about the lobbyist that has gotten all of the legislation done through big money. He didn't mention that, but I will. Big money from all of those communication people that's got the lobbies in Washington. Now, we won't outlive lobbyists, okay? They're here. But don't be afraid to chase them. Don't be afraid to oppose them. You might lose, but you know, if you look at the Supreme Court, we got a lot of very conservative lawyers and judges there. So again, I compliment you on the way you handled it. I'm sorry, Mr. Threadgill had to leave, but I read the papers. I still take, I'm not a resident of Meriwether County anymore, but I grew up here. I was educated here, and here I am. There's a couple of people here. I don't know this gentleman here. Mr. Lee is the attorney, and this gentleman, I don't. Are you an attorney for the county, or?
I'm the finance director.
I'm sorry?
Finance director.
Finance. This lady is from the newspaper, I'm assuming.
No, sir.
She's our clerk.
That's our administrator.
County administrator.
Okay? Hey,
Where do you live now, sir?
I'm sorry,
Where do you live now?
I live in Fayette County,
Oh, okay, up there in Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Well, you are always welcome to come here and join our meetings, and I want to say thank you for staying for the duration of the meeting. I know sometimes people have to leave, so we appreciate the fact that you were able to just sit through it all. It gets long sometimes, but we appreciate it.
But it was really handled nicely,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
So don't forget to lobby for the lobbyists, and lobby for our children and our grandchildren. Or not,
Thank you. All right, once again, anyone else have any comments? If not, we're going to get ready to, anyone else, any other public comments? Okay. If not, then, we had our executive session already, so we taken care of that. Future meetings. Our next meeting will be June the 12th. That's our regular meeting at 9 a.m. June the 25th is our evening meeting at 6 p.m. And then July the 4th will be closed for Independence Day. But I also like to say for those, we have a wonderful website that keeps people abreast of what's going on in the county. So if you can't make it to a meeting, you can always go to our website. Our meetings are downloaded on the county website as well, so that will always keep you abreast of what we're doing. If nothing else, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we close the meeting.
Second.
All right. So it's been a motion and a second. Can I get a vote? All those in favor? All right, motion carries. We are closed for this evening.